evening, folks, and a hearty welcome to our drive-in theater.
Keelan Cole with his third touchdown.
Defender Josh Norman to his backside.
The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. For baseball, what a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world. A black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol. And it is a great moment for all of us, and particularly for Henry
Wilson. Little roller up along first, behind the bag, it gets through Buckner, here comes Knight, and the Mets win it! Is at the plate. High fly ball into right field, she is gone! In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Pulp Fantasy. I'm your host, Scott Rinear. You can find me on Twitter at MunderDifflinFF. And I realize I started out this episode with not football. But I've said it a lot of times on this show. It's my show, I get to do what I want. And I'm a sports fan. I'm a sports fan in general. So I actually grew up more of a baseball fan. I played way more baseball in my youth. So I wanted to give a quick little shout out there to three of the most iconic calls that I've ever heard from now the late Vin Scully, an absolute legend in Major League Baseball and one of my favorite broadcasters of all time. You know, he had a knack. I didn't grow up listening to him regularly. I was obviously well aware of him, but one thing I know about Vin Scully is his voice, just his call, his knowledge of the game embedded in my brain. And he also had just a knack for knowing when to not talk. Like you saw during that Hank Aaron record-setting home run. You know, he let the emotion of the moment, the crowd noise, just the magnitude of the moment, just broadcast without his voice for a little while. And I think more broadcasters should try and do that. So rest in peace to Vin Scully, an absolute legend. Real quick, while I'm on the topic of legendary baseball broadcasters, I have my own personal Vin Scully. Like I said, I didn't listen to Vin Scully very regularly. Dave Niehaus, the late, great Dave Niehaus, Mariners broadcaster for decades, passed away a while back. He was my Vin Scully. He's the voice I hear most often in my head when I think about baseball growing up. So I figured I would also share with you probably my favorite baseball moment of all time. I watched it live on TV, and Dave Niehaus's call of this play will forever give me goosebumps. Here you go.
Love a base hit into the gap, and they could win it with junior speed, the stretch. And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on and lined down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. Edgar Martinez with a double. Ripped down the left field line, and they are going crazy at the Kingdome.
I was watching that game with my brother. We lost our minds. Went outside, started banging pots and pans. I mean, I was young. I don't know, I think I was a sophomore in high school, something like that. Never forget it. Absolutely never forget it. And if you haven't seen the story of the 1995 Mariners, the comeback they made just to make the postseason, and then the comeback they had against the Yankees in the divisional series, culminating in that play you just saw, it's a pretty remarkable baseball event, baseball story, regardless of who you root for. That 95 ALDS is, one for the history books. So anyway, let's move on to some football. We're in August, and that means it's time for training camp. And whenever it's time for training camp, it's time for training camp hype. And whenever it's time for training camp hype, it's time for training camp hype videos of people practicing with their own team. Also, we have the Hall of Fame game, first live football action in months. Actually, based on when this episode comes out, you might be watching the Hall of Fame game or getting ready to watch the Hall of Fame game. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying that as well. Try and stick it out to the end on this one. I decided to include some outtakes from the video shooting I did for this episode. So there's some outtakes at the end of this. But we're going to move on to a section. Second time I've done this. I did it last year to look at some of the biggest plays so far in training camp. And I'm going to entitle this section Training Camp Time.
Hot damn, hot water, hot shower. Hot Atlanta smoking green cauliflower. Tangerine, yeah, I call it sweet and sour. And my lawyer say it's surgery.
I'm going to break this down into my top five plays of the preseason training camp videos that have dropped so far. Top 5 plays. Starting number 5.
What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options. I can pass that bitch like Stockton.
So what should be obvious after that? Case closed. Julio Jones not washed. In fact, probably the wide receiver 1 overall this year and probably for many years to come. I mean, caught it, turned upfield. Remarkable. Okay, now here we go to number 4. What can you say? Who's the number 1 rookie receiver? Is it Garrett Wilson? Is it Drake London? No, it's Romeo Doubs. Did you see that in practice? Ran a fly route, pass, got all the way to him, caught it, touchdown, practice. So yeah, sorry about all the Julio Jones nonsense before. Romeo Doubs, first time ever, number 1 receiver his rookie year. I don't know if that's true. Just go with me on it. Number 1 receiver, wide receiver overall, number 1 entire galaxy this year. And so here we go with another, is he washed? Is he not washed? It's a receiver on a new team. Number 3.
Fuck all that bickering beef. I can hear sweat trickling down your cheek. Your heartbeat sound like Sasquatch feet thundering.
I probably should have rethought the order of this because I've been spitting out wide receiver 1 overalls for the first 2, number 5 and number 4 on this list. But now we've got a new number 1 overall for this year. It's Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, did you see how you barely could see him catching that ball? I know he caught it. He actually caught it. He dove and caught it. Great catch. Number 1 wide receiver. He might set the all-time record. Okay, moving on to number 2.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, in-slum national underground thunderbounds when I stomp the ground like a million elephants, a silverback orangutan. You can't stop a train.
And as you can see, the player that I showed in that highlight definitely underrated. Number 1 overall at their position this year from that video I just showed you. Okay, on to number 1. Elijah Moore. Jerry Rice, watch out. See that catch? Yeah, of course you saw it. Because it took 10 minutes for him to catch it. So you really got to see it. Anyway, that's a big joke. That's the whole joke, that whole section. I actually really like Elijah Moore. Not really super stoked about Julio Jones. I like the potential of Juju Smith-Schuster in the Chiefs offense. The player I showed in clip 2, it's possible I didn't have a clip yet and I just wanted to shoot this earlier in the day. I think I like the player in the number 2 overall. And then I'm trying to think of who the other one was. Oh, Romeo Doubs. Whatever. Okay, next up, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up one of the biggest news stories of the year, last little bit. And I'm not going to say a lot about it, but Deshaun Watson, suspended for 6 games. And last little bit that I'll leave you with, this isn't a bold prediction, this is more just an observation and an opportunity for me to insert a clip that is one of my favorite scenes from any movie ever. Maybe one of the scenes I've laughed the hardest at when I saw it the first time. So to set up that scene, I was reading on Twitter today that Mitchell Trubisky, aka Mitch Trubisky, aka M Trubs, anyway, not looking so hot in camp so far. Steelers have had a really long run of success, but if Mitch can't go, Kenny Pickett's not ready, Mason Rudolph starts the season, their long streak of winning could go in this direction.
I'm so in love with honey and everything will bring a chain of love, yeah. In the morning when I rise, bring it.
All right, that's Pulp Fantasy. Should be used to it by now. Goofy stuff. With that, I'm going to leave you with some outtakes from the shooting I did for this episode. And always remember, laugh at stuff. Bye. Oh my God, leave me alone. Doug, no, Jasper, no, guys, leave me alone. Oh my God, I accidentally pushed power instead of unpause.